Yes, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. We are back with the debrief, the 7th of its kind, and we have 2 debriefs this week. The first time we've come to you twice in a week, but the schedule is mad. We're getting into that Christmas period, but we are back with the debrief, the most comprehensive, the most analytical and outrageous hour-long Leeds United show on the platform. My name is Conor McGilligan, the king of caveats, and I'm here to guide you through another episode of the debrief. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. The referee was a clown, David Brown, and Mr. John Swift, different gravy, KG. How are we doing, everybody? Hope you're all doing fantastic. Well, get in the comment section below. Boys, listen, we're all off there. We're all having... It's all nice, isn't it? It's all great. And we've got to talk about other parts of life because it's great, isn't it? The love of life. But our love of Leeds United brings us back down, doesn't it?
Don't know what I know. Point on the road. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the positivity we need, Brownie. That's the positivity we need. So, as I say, guys, get your comments in the section below. I'll read it out. I'll read some of the stuff out right now. Before we start, actually, get your comments, get your likes in. Any donations will be massively appreciated because what we're going to do is going to stick this on Spotify, on iTunes. So you might be listening to that now. So that's going to be great for you guys when you're on your lunch breaks, when you're going into work. I know loads of you have asked me for audio only. So make sure you download it. Don't just listen to it. Make sure you download it because that's an indicator and it goes on our statistics and all this sort of stuff. So we can put special things on One Leeds about the debrief and how many downloads we've got so we can just massage our egos. But there we go. There's loads of comments coming in already. Gary Keith, welcome, lads, you legends. Greetings from New Zealand. Gary, what I'd do to be in New Zealand right now. Jack says, smash the like. Thank you so much, mate. Need my therapy. Retro Football Club. Great comments last week, mate. Keep getting your stuff in. Desire says, I can't believe I caught this thing live. Hi, guys, from the US of A. Evening, fellas. Anyone else is bum twitching every time football is mentioned nowadays. Evening, lads, says Wayne. And lads, that's it. All the niceties out of the window. KG, my friend, how are you doing?
Yeah, all good. All good. It was, it's nice to get on with you guys and just shoot and see what everyone else is thinking right now. Because, like I say, I did my live yesterday, and we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. But there's a lot more people with a lot more questions than answers at the moment. So it'd be good to get into it.
KG, I've got one question for you. If you could sum up the WhatsApp group chat yesterday with one word, what would it be?
Chaos?
3 passionate Leeds fans in there. But to be fair, it was primarily me and Brownie. And bringing the main man in himself. Brownie, how are you doing, mate? Is everything okay on your end?
Yeah, it was brilliant yesterday. I had a really, really good time.
Do you want to tell everyone about the hoodie you're wearing as well, mate? It looks extra comfy, extra soft in the winter months. It looks really good, that.
I know I could do with another one, to be fair, but they are really, really comfy. The nicest, softest hoodie
you can ever imagine. Link is in the description below. Shameless. To
be fair, though, jokes aside, I'm not even just saying this. It is a really, really soft ice hoodie.
He's not lying. I'll slip you that $5 in the post, mate. But Brownie.
I think that sums it up. That's it.
Good night, everyone. See you.
Good night. That was it. That is it. It's just very. Oh God.
Normally I'm firing, Brownie. Normally I'm firing on all cylinders when it comes to Leeds United and all this sort of stuff. I did a review today. If you've not checked it out, everyone go check it out. But I feel like that was very cathartic for me. But I wanted to do this because us three have a sort of great relationship when it comes to Leeds. But I wanted to ask you, mate, in terms of obviously going down there, that performance. Just how do you sum the day up, mate?
Long.
Yeah.
We had this chat, didn't we, in the WhatsApp? It was a poor performance. I didn't come away from it. I came away from it relieved we got a point, but there were moments in that second half where we felt like we could score, and that's what when we and you were not arguing, but obviously we were breaking it down. Debating. That's a great word. We were debating, and the Southampton performance came up in our debate, okay? And I didn't come away feeling the same as I did come away feeling from the Southampton game. There was moments, and obviously I've tweeted about it today, and I'm not digging Roberts out. I thought he did well. He came on and I thought he did well. He put himself about. There was chances in the game. Dan James as well, he had a chance similar to the chance he had against Leicester where he blazed over. There were moments in the game where we could have nicked it, and it would have been robbery. It would have been daylight robbery if we'd have nicked it. But there were elements in that game where we were breaking and we were thinking, go on. And it just didn't happen. Whereas in that Southampton game, I don't think we got over the halfway line, let alone there were moments where... But there's too many of these performances coming up. How many times have we done this debrief and we've not had a full performance, apart from the Leicester game where we drew. But other than that this season, and that's the problem for me, there's too many times we're coming up doing these debriefs and it's very meh.
Well, Brownie, me and KG just said to me off air there, we were just having a little chat, and I'd have loved to have done these debriefs last season. KG's mentioned it before as well. And listen, we don't want to come on here and talk about the negatives and this, that. We don't want to do that. We don't listen, I don't care about views and all this sort of stuff. I want to come on here and wax lyrical about my team. And that's all I did last season. We came on and so many great superlatives around Leeds United's performance, but it just seems right now it's flat, it's lethargic. They're not giving it. And I think the problem is a lot of fans right now are seeing, where we are, and listen, we're only 4 points off so-and-so, this, that, and the other. I think, KG, to be honest with you, it's so deflating from where we were last season, just in terms of performances, and obviously points, but just performances to what it is now. I think that's the nux of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was delighted with the point yesterday purely because we didn't deserve anything out the game. But like Brownie said, and I'm with him on it as well, it wasn't like Southampton because we actually got some attacking play in there, here and there. And it was feeling like when Brighton in the second half weren't scoring, that we could hit them on the break and do something. But then you have to remember, we've got... It's crazy that I'm hearing that Tyler Roberts, for some people, is our best player simply because he missed 2 chances. That's what it's come to in terms of being our best player. But for me, he wasn't. I mean, there's other things to talk about, but it's just been the overall performances this season haven't been there. And I've already said now I'd sacrifice performances for 3 points now at this stage because we need points on the board. And it's just that other teams around us keep on picking up points and wins here and there and just moving themselves away from us and just making us stay in that 17th place. And it's like, well, what are we doing here? And there's a lot of things going on that are just confusing right now. Like I say, I've got more questions and answers for people today. So, yeah.
Yeah, Ted's turned around and said, match on together from Atlanta, GA. I think KG knows Ted, and obviously I know Ted. To the best 3 soccer commentators on the entire internet. Kudos to KG's channel. I am now a KG-ack. CC Wayne Newton, there you go. Great to hear that sort of stuff. But Brownie, let's get on to it, shall we? I mean, like we always do on the debrief, we always go on about the lineup straight away. The lineup was interesting. I found very, very interesting. I mean, I tell you what, let's talk about our predictions first of all, shall we? Brownie went with a 2. I'm not bringing the table up today because nothing's changed, so there's no point in adapting the table. So Brownie went with a 2-0 Leeds United win. Connor went with a 3-2 Leeds United win, and KG went with a 2-1. Lads, we're going to have to start predicting with our heads, not our hearts.
Well, that's what I was thinking about these predictions on the way back. And the week before the Tottenham game, we all said we'd get nothing at Brighton. We all said that. We all said we'd get nothing at Brighton. And I think,
yeah,
I mean, I was reading on the way back that we hadn't got anything from Brighton since 2012, which was maybe another reason why it was just good to get something down there. But the team that came out, not just the team, but where players were playing within that team, like Levente was at right back, and
Brownie, should I? I'm gonna tee you up now, mate. Should we just go through the initial team to start it? So what we had, Leeds went into the game. I sort of saw it. I don't know if you two thought this as well, but for me, it framed a little bit as a 4-4-2. That's how I saw it. That's how I saw the structure. I didn't almost see it as a 3-3-1-3. So how it in plain sight, how it looked was Mele in there, Llorente right back, Calvin Phillips centre-back, Cooper, Firpo, Forshaw and Dallas sort of in a bit of a pivot. And then we had Raf, Harrison on the wings, and then Rodrigo almost as a shadow striker to James, really. And I almost saw Rodrigo was, I mean, the reason I call him a shadow striker is because he was so far off Basuma every single time. It couldn't have been a central midfield battle. It's that for me, that's just, it can't be a thing. So I mean, there were a lot of conversations before. Gelhardt, obviously, you know, what we know about Leeds United is it's based on a meritocracy. If you play well, you normally stay in the lineup. Gelhardt, I thought, played really, really well against Tottenham Hotspur, was able to hold the ball up very, very well, which we need in a direct formation. And I thought Pascal for me should never, ever be out of this side. So, Brownie, what were your initial thoughts on the lineup, mate? Because we were having a chat beforehand, and you were very enthused by it, really, weren't you?
I was shocked that he took Struijk out. What I was trying to say to you is, we can't keep saying we're playing square pegs in round holes, and then when the round hole is available to play, not play it. So Firpo was fit. We've signed him as a left back, so Firpo plays left back. At no point last year were we playing Struijk left back. But what we've got from that game is Struijk has to play left back, and he's not even a left back. Which, like KG says, there's more questions than answers. Why have we only got one left back at the club that we don't want to play left back? That's a huge problem for me. If we're saying, looking at that team, and we're really unhappy that our left back isn't playing left back when available, then that's our first huge question that we're bringing from the debrief. Because no, Struijk should have played left back. He played really well against Tottenham. He did a job on Son, so play him. But then, when does our left back get in to play left back? We're playing another square peg in a round hole. And I don't want to go down the Alioski route again. We've touched on that before in the debriefs. But if we knew Struijk could play left back and do a good job like he has done, would that money not have been best spent giving Alioski his wage and putting that 13 million into a centre midfielder or a position that we need? If Struijk can do such a good job at left back, because KG's right, it was an absolute, I don't want to say disgrace, but how you can bring Struijk out of that position to swap him for Firpo after the Tottenham game, I don't know. But what I was trying to say to you before the game was, but then how does Firpo play? That he's the left back. The Gelhardt Rodrigo situation, I was surprised Gelhardt wasn't playing. That front four has started quite a few games now. It started against Norwich. We were poor there. It started yesterday. We just don't look like scoring a goal with that front four. It's just too chaotic. Nobody knows really where they're playing. And that's the one thing that I took away from yesterday is all last year we were a well-oiled, drilled machine. It looked like everybody knew. We were like robots. We knew where we were to be at all points. The amount of times players were going to the touchline yesterday and just getting switched and changed around. I said on the bus on the way back to a fan at the back, in that second half, there were times where I didn't know where people were playing. By looking at it, I couldn't tell who was where. And that's a concern.
Yeah, KG, obviously we haven't heard from you yet, mate. What are your sort of general thoughts on the lineup and everything going into the game yesterday?
Yeah, it's the same thing in regards to Pascal Struijk. You don't leave him out. Like literally over the last few weeks, I mean, pretty much all season, I've been saying, that Struijk has been one of the better performers on the pitch. No matter where we've tried to put him, he's even improved in that defensive midfield area. Left back, he's great. Centre back, he's great. You cannot take one of your best players out when we're in 17th place. And this was something that was coming up a lot on my stream, that people are concerned about the loyalty he's got to certain players. And that's a big feeling of why we are in the mess that we're in, because no matter what now, he seems to just bring players back in. There was that time, remember, when we were in the championship, that if you had a good run of games, you were staying in the team no matter what. So if you got injured, it's unfortunate if you didn't play, if that person that's replacing you played well, but you're not coming back in just yet. Whereas right now, he's just throwing people in or leaving people in that shouldn't be in there. And the Pascal Struijk news kind of overshadowed the Joe Gelhardt being dropped news, because I just thought, how are you dropping Pascal Struijk? And I could understand if he was playing Rodrigo because he thought of a high issue for Gelhardt. Okay, fair. But then why would you take out the tall Pascal Struijk, who's good at both defensive and attacking set pieces? So it didn't make no sense. Gelhardt shouldn't have been dropped. No reason for. I mean, Rodrigo was back in that position that you just mentioned, shadow striker, and he was back doing nothing again.
Yeah.
Whereas Gelhardt gives you a threat up front. He gives you dribbling. Not only does he give you dribbling, he gives you good shots on target when he can get them off. He gives you a genuine threat. And for me, all this thing about protecting youngsters, I don't buy into it, because if you remember, I mean, going back to the O'Leary babies, they were quite young with experience sprinkled in, Batty, etc., Nigel Martin, Lucas Radaby. Then even fast forward to our dead years in the Championship, our best players were our young players, Byram, Cook, Mowat, you know, all those guys in Taylor, Charlie Taylor. They were our best players, not Michael Brown and Michael Tong and all these guys. If they're old enough, if they're good enough, they're old enough, in my opinion. So protecting Joe Gelhardt don't make no sense. And then throwing on Tyler Roberts yet again, and him having 2 missed chances, making him one of the best players in some people's eyes, is a huge problem, because he was not one of the best players. When it fell to him on his left foot, did anyone really think it was going to go in?
No.
The thing is, on that,
exactly,
it should do though. A Premier League.
Yeah.
I mean, I played League One, League Two. If a chance fell to me 9 yards out, with no defender in front of me, I'd be annoyed if it hadn't gone in. But here we are saying, are we surprised it hasn't? And none of us are. And yesterday was the first time that substitution got booed. In the crowd, there was boos. And that's the first time that's crept in. Yeah, we've all said, oh, what's he doing? There was boos in that away crowd like yesterday when that board went up.
And we'll definitely get onto Rocks. Obviously, we've broken it down into first half, second half, but so we'll definitely get on.
Sorry, just to finish off my point as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the starting lineup again, moving Rodrigo from up front. Allegedly, he's a number 9. He's no number 9. He hasn't got a clinical bone in his body, as evident by that rugby shot he took from outside the box. He also just leaves a huge gap in the midfield. And you talked about Llorente going to right back. That was because they were getting joy down our right via Dallas, because Cucurella and Trossard were absolutely busting it. It wasn't until Firpo got that booking and they just decided to attack that side and just go down there all the time over Firpo and Cooper, why that side wasn't really getting attacked anymore. And that's why Llorente moved over to know the threat of Cucurella.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of you bang on, and I just wanted to go through as well the positions of the starting 11 who, you look at all the players that I'm about to read out, and you could argue that all of them could start in their correct positions. So we've got Calvin Phillips, who's playing at centre-back. Diego Llorente, who looked like he was occupying the right-back position. Stuart Dallas in central midfield. Rodrigo in central midfield. Dan James striker. Pascal Struijk when he came on central midfield. Jamie Shackleton came on at right-back. And Tyler Roberts is centre-forward. I'm really struggling with it at this moment in time, because it's almost just overcomplicating things. And does Bielsa know his best 11? What do we think on that? Do we think Bielsa knows his best 11 at this point?
I think it'd be hard for anybody to say their best 11. Like I touched on before, that front 4, it just doesn't work. But I'm not sure he'll ever leave one of them out. When Bamford's back, it'd be so interesting to see who gets left out. Because yes, Bamford's going to be the number 9. He loves playing Harrison, loves playing James, loves playing Rafinha. He's obviously having Roberts over Gelhardt. Rodrigo's got a thing. But like you say, there's just players all over the place. And another thing yesterday was we were so deep. Rafinha was a right wing back at times. Yeah. He was, and when he was getting the ball, he'd then have 60, 70 yards to run with. He was so deep, and I don't know, do we struggle against, because it is a good point I saw the comment come up about Brighton, we never do well against Brighton. We never do well against that formation. Whenever a team sets up that way against us, we're always struggling to get out. We just seem so deep, and yesterday was a classic case of that. There was one point where there was Llorente, Rafinha and Dallas all in a right-back position in that first half. They were all, like KG says, they were attacking down that side, and we were just... It felt like we were adapting to them rather than playing our game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought even with Joe Gelhardt against Spurs, I thought it was absolutely fantastic to say he went down there. He started as our number 9, and I want to touch on the number 9 stuff as well. Against Spurs, he attempted 6 dribbles and 5 were successful. He also had 4 shots, 3 of them were on target. Now, when I looked at that Brighton game yesterday, I saw 3 massive centre backs when it comes to them playing the back 3. They actually didn't play Duffy; they played Veltman there, which I was quite surprised at. But you know, if we are playing long, if there is someone to hold the ball up, why is Dan James up there again? Like, what are we know that this is not working. Even I'm struggling to see the positives of Dan James as a set. And you know, we were talking on the group chat earlier, KG, and you might have alluded to maybe Dan James, you know, not been impressive. And I would agree with you yesterday. He wasn't impressive, but he's fighting a losing battle, really, isn't he? And what on earth can he do in that position when Leeds in the 3-3-1-3, if that is the system, KG, naturally play long to the wingers and long to the strikers. We bypass the midfield in that formation.
It goes again to the more questions than answers, because Dan James playing up front shouldn't even be a thing. And that's one of the last things that people actually mentioned about Dan James playing as a striker. It's especially when you've got Joe Gelhardt there ready to go. He needs to run a game. So he's not going to get no form by being dropped. He didn't even come on a sub, for God's sake. And Dan James, for me, is more effective as a winger. That's where he did best work. Yeah. Admittedly, yesterday, it wasn't a good game, because even when he did go out wide, he wasn't controlling the ball very well. He wasn't passing very well. It wasn't one of his better outings. And it's disappointing, because I thought he'd kick on a bit after that Tottenham performance last week. But, you know, he's working hard up there. But again, and it's kind of linked as well to Mellier's kicking, because now all of a sudden Mellier's going long and he's got Dan James to aim at. There's so many things that just link up as to why this thing isn't working, which is why so many people are just so confused right now.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned a few times, and it's not even me saying Mellier's a bad keeper, but the amount of attacks other teams get from our goal kick is scary. If you watch the Palace game, the amount of times we have a goal kick and the other team end up having an attack from our goal kick is frightening. But defending Mellier on that, I thought everybody's passing was, again, it comes down to the front four. There's just never anything on. There's bodies running away from people. There's nobody ever coming to show to feet. It's backs to the player, and it's just one of them hit and hope type of balls. Or if not, let's try and hit Rafinha on the diag, which, I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to it, but the passing, not just from one person yesterday, the passing from a lot of people, it was, well, diabolical, really. And I was there. It was windy. I'm not going down the elements route, but keep it on the floor. If it's windy, keep it on the floor. But we just seem to want to keep doing this long ball diagonally, and it just wasn't working. It just, and again, we've touched on the 3 centre-backs they have. We always struggle against 3 centre-backs. We really do. We genuinely really do struggle against 3 centre-backs. But just the passing and just everything, it wasn't working. And Joe Gelhardt in that Tottenham game really impressed me with how much he did hold the ball up. But there were balls coming into his chest. He was bringing it down. He was getting on the half turn with it. And with Dan James down the middle, or we've tried Harrison down the middle, they won't bring it down on the chest. They won't get on the half turn and then dribble. It's just a ball over the top and hopefully run onto it. And obviously yesterday that you couldn't do that.
Yeah, Pete's come in and says 600 people watching. Hit the like button. Please make sure you do so, guys. The lads' links will be in the description. As always, go check out Cage's. And as I always say, you got to check out Brownie's Twitter. I think there was a key person, and I think we've discussed it on the group chat, who was causing absolute problems in the first half for Leeds United. On the right-hand side, I think it was his first full game as well. Tariq Lamptey came back in. We know about him. We know his skills. We know, his attributes, all this sort of stuff. KG, I mean, we could double up on him. I think Harrison was trying to with Firpo. It was just an absolute massacre in that first half from Tariq Lamptey, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Firpo was not good yesterday, so there's no defending Junior for yesterday's performance. But I don't know if Jack Harrison was trying to double up. I didn't see much. I gotta be honest. I didn't see Jack Harrison until he got subbed off. I swear. I think that's the first time I really saw Jack Harrison yesterday. So it was a double up. Cooper was trying to cover with Firpo, but Lamptey was just breezing past both of them. And obviously, Firpo got that early yellow card. Whether that was a yellow card or not is neither here or there now. But he did get an early yellow card.
It is when Paulson refs his Leeds.
Well, look, I even think the referee knew he booked him too early, because he made a couple more tackles after that could have been yellows, and he didn't go for the red card because he knew that he made a mistake early on. It's that whole referee. It's all that familiarity with referees. We've been through it before, but it just made him go on a tightrope. And again, I said it when the game was going on. Why didn't Bielsa do one of his magic 30-minute subs, 20-minute subs? Because we needed it.
I thought it was going to come, when he got booked after
he should have done it and just apologized after and said, look, we had to take you off because it was a risk, etc., like he's done before. And again, this is something that came up in my post-match thing as well. People saying that he's just got too close and too loyal to a few of these players, why he won't just haul somebody off before half-time anymore. And he should have done it. If there was ever a time to do it, it was there, because I thought Firpo was going to go. I really did.
Yeah,
I thought he was a gunner. Yeah. And again, I don't know if Firpo is going to be the long-term answer here. I really don't know. But he's not being given the grace of time because everyone is just stinking out the joint. Whereas before, when Barry Douglas was stinking out the place, when he actually did play and wasn't injured, it didn't matter because Alioski was there. We had cover and we was flying up the table. It's a different story now. So his performances are going to stand out a bit more because he's doing, well, probably worse than everybody else at the moment. But he's not the only one. And that's why I'm saying, like, I know you guys are going to touch on Firpo, but he was not the only one that was terrible yesterday.
On that Harrison thing about the doubling up, and it just reminded me of Harrison again. Where's the attacking in numbers gone? We're getting the ball in positions, and so many times. And I mean, I know the wingers didn't have great time, and I've mentioned this before. But when they get the ball around the edge of the box, you're saying cross it, and then when you look in the box, there's nobody in it. Yeah. There's nobody in it to cross it to. So if they do just cross it in, the other team get the ball anyway. So that's the only thing I'm going to defend the wingers with. When they are getting the balls in these positions, there is nobody to put it in the box to. And that is, again, the problem with having that Rafinha, Rodrigo and Dan James being a false number 9. There's not one designated person getting in the box. Yeah. And the other thing that's worrying me, and it was more so in the second half, and I know Rodrigo's coming back from a knock, which, again, I was amazed he played the full 90 minutes and why we did the subs so early, but I'm sure we'll come on to that later on in the show. But when players are going past, I'm not seeing that desire and work rate to get back and win the ball back. Remember the later end of the championship and last year where there was videos where there'd be 6-7 people swarming back to win the ball back? I don't see it anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a bit of a worry. Glenn's just said, just got in from work, lads, gutted, missed the beginning, watching you back from the start, you legends, Leeds. And it was just fascinating when we were talking there, or when Brandon was making his point. Guys, just joined, but why is it that you can't see the problems? You can see the problems, but Bielsa doesn't seem to. Yeah, I mean, we're not saying with the oracles, but we're fans, and I think that's the frustrating aspect of it. We're just fans. We don't profess to know anything, but you know, it's just one of those things. And I was just looking at Junior's, you know, is where he's been featuring, really. You know, he featured 45 against Man United, 70 against Everton, 90 against Crewe, 90 against Liverpool, 90 against Newcastle, 90 against Fulham, 90 against West Ham, 90 against Watford, 31 against Tottenham, and 45 against Brighton. So I understand that there have, as I always say, the king of caveats here, there have been problems with Junior Firpo, and that needs to be included there. He's had some, you know, serious underlying health, but I think all I want to see from Junior is an indication, and at the minute, I'm not seeing anything that's getting me excited. And I mentioned it on my preview as well. Cucurella, who was on Brighton's left-hand side, they bought him for a very, very similar price in the window. like a duck to water. Very, very similar style to Leeds, in Brighton comparison to Leeds as well. High press, very good, on and off the ball, very, very similar to Leeds. Potter, there's a lot of people who say, if Bielsa was to ever move on in the future, they'd love Potter at Leeds. So the philosophy and the identity is quite similar. So I think it is very, very frustrating, KG, when you see that, and someone who's so dominant on that left-hand side against Leeds. And at the minute, you just see an absolute farce, really, when it comes to Leeds' left-hand side.
Yeah, in a few areas. But again, this comes down to recruitment, doesn't it? We're not paid to scout these people. We're not paid to go and see who's the best option. This is down to the recruitment area. And if they've got it wrong, they've got it wrong. I'm not going to rule out Firpo just yet. It's just not. It hasn't been impressive at all, and you can't escape that. But to only have him is a damn shame. We should have another left back there, and also as well, just on the other out of position things. Why not put Drama at right back? Why not give a right back? Because you know what is actually becoming so foreign to us as fans. Expecting right backs to play at right back and strikers to play up front. We're just so used to everyone being mixed around that sometimes we don't even think about it. It becomes an afterthought.
Jamie Shackleton's not a right back.
He's not.
I will argue with anybody who comes on this, any comment that Jamie Shackleton's a right back. I'm not having it. I've never seen a right back not go over the halfway line. I've never seen a right back not. There was times where could you get the ball? Gary Neville, I know, it made a living out of it. Get the ball and just clip it down the line. There was times in that second half where Dan James, I mean, we signed him for his pace. There was times in that second half where he could just, don't even have to be just hit it into a space with quality. And he was just finding their man. And that's when he actually does go forward. How many times he gets it and just passes it back inside, passes it back to the keeper. Like you say, Cody Drama's a right back. Play him.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'd agree with you. It's almost like it's just it's a puzzle, isn't it? And I think as fans, we're talking about the lineup at the start, and we're trying to go through it in terms of formation. What did it look like? Why are there nigh on 6-7 players playing out of position when they could play in position? Sometimes it does get a little bit difficult to understand, really. I mean, KG, the first sort of 10-15 minutes on the first half and just in general, what did you make of it, mate? I mean, the landscape of the game, it almost looked straight away. I thought Brighton were very, very good, to be fair to them. And any Brighton fans that are listening, it seems like you're missing a goal scorer away from once again being further up the table. But I thought that they really dictated that first half, didn't they, KG?
Yeah, they were excellent, and it's a product of Brighton. All they need is an actual killer up front. I even believe if Danny Welbeck was half fit, he may have put away one of those chances they got.
They killed us last year, didn't they?
well, that's what I mean. And by the way, our left back last year wasn't good at Brighton either. But listen, no, but I mean, they were excellent, and that's what I'm saying. Cucurella and Trossard were linking up, and there was also there was loads of areas, and I hope everyone remembers. But they were passing the ball, and it was just going through grass straight to their player. Like no one was trying to intercept it. No one was around to try and even get the ball. The amount of times they ran down our wings with nobody even putting a foot in, they were just running at us at will, and it was just their lack of finishing why we didn't go in at half time a couple goals down. Mm-hmm. And also as well with Calvin as well, and we're gonna have to get onto it. So early on, moving him back into centre back to move Llorente over to right back. I don't know about you guys, but I think I can tell a few of them are getting a little bit frustrated with this now.
That's really interesting you bring that up, because obviously we had that chat last week, didn't we, when Calvin came on Sky and spoke sort of about game management, and we all love that. Cage, I think you referenced it as well, saying that's what you want from your captain, if that was ever to be what it would be. But once again, and this is a massive talking point, once again, Calvin Phillips was taken off. And apparently not fit Pascal Struijk was brought on. And we'll get into Jamie Shackleton as well. But Calvin Phillips being brought off at halftime. I think we all thought it was injury. But that's a massive move. It's a massive move, to bring him off because of his capabilities. And even if Leeds change systems, Calvin Phillips is pivotal in whatever, because simply he's arguably our best player. So to bring Calvin Phillips off, especially after the comments last week, fans are naturally going to add one and one together and make two, KG.
Yeah, and it's funny because somebody mentioned there about Brighton. They were a lot like our Championship team, only we would actually lose the game in the end. Like to Nathan Dyer last minute Swansea goal or something like that. We would actually lose the game, not come out with a point. But yeah, of course, it's going to be a story. You're talking about England's regular central midfielder here, and not doing so well. Leeds United. He's got contract talks up in the air right now. He made those comments last week. I don't think there was anything wrong with the comments. I appreciate that. I appreciated what he said when he came out, expecting more from everybody. But
he needs more from himself. It
just seemed that maybe Bielsa made a little bit of a point to hook him off at halftime, because you could have taken off anyone at halftime, not just Calvin. But it just seemed like it may have been a point. Listen, I'm the boss here, fall in line kind of thing. Which
a few have died by that sword going against him, haven't they?
Yeah.
Potter Shanson being one of them, the big one. He went against him in that Aston Villa game and never played again. But I'm not saying Calvin will never play again. I think Calvin was right with what he said. But on the flip side, I think Calvin needs to look at his performances this season, because they're nowhere near last year. I'm not. There's been a few times this season where he's not hit them heights of last year, and not just throwing Calvin into this. I mean, he's got enough credit in the bank, like you say, he's one of our best players in England international. But I think a few of them need to remember who made them Premier League players. They were nowhere near being a Premier League player until Bielsa got into them. So I think there's a little bit of... I think they need to remember where they were when Bielsa came in. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I'll never be a Bielsa out. But like KG said, there's a lot of questions. And there was a comment before about why can we all see it and Bielsa can't? And that goes again down KG's point of view of favouring certain players, loyalty type of thing. But just the whole Calvin situation, I don't think he was great. And like Bielsa's shown, nobody's immune from being taken off. But like KG says, it could have been one of 7 or 8 that got brought off yesterday. But I don't want to come across as digging Calvin out, because it would be frustrating being moved about so much. 1 minute he's playing centre-back, 1 minute he's playing centre-mid. Every player wants to play in position, but as we've said so many times, there's so many people playing out of position, and he's just one of them.
I just want to be careful with that whole remember where he comes from kind of thing. I think that's small mentality. I think that kind of puts a cap on where you can go. I think if he believes that he's a good enough player to play with better players, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and why he's demanding more from the players.
No, now, yeah. Sorry. I mean, now, yeah, by all means. But 18 months ago, we wanted him getting in our team. Bielsa.
Yeah, but Brownie, that can happen to absolutely anybody. We could say that about Bamford now, and Bamford could say, "I wouldn't mind a move to a Europa League team because I've scored 17 league goals or what have you." It can happen to anyone. But what I'm trying to say is, you want people to be better, and I don't think he's forgotten that he's from Leeds or anything like that. But he would like to be with Leeds, but just further up the table. And but it's up to the club now to get players around him, around Rafinha, around Struijk, and be better. And also, again, on this thing about Struijk being left out, like, I want to make clear, I'm not saying that Struijk should have been left back. I want him at centre back. I want him and Llorente to resume their partnership that was so successful last season. But again, and this is what a lot of people are saying again about loyalty, that maybe having an armband is just means that you're undroppable, which it shouldn't mean that. Because there's other captains in other teams that don't play every week. And I just feel that the best mobile centre-back partnership with a lot more nous in it, a lot more agility in it, is Struijk and Llorente. That's just my opinion. It's not hating on anybody in particular. It's just, when we're talking about putting your strongest team out, that is our best centre-back partnership, in my humble opinion. I just didn't get how you leave Pascal out. But Calvin Phillips, and also what people have to remember, yes, he's now established England international. He's talking to people from Liverpool, Man United, Man City. They're all saying we could use you here. We could use you. And no matter how humble you are, that's going to make you go, you know what? I think I could be used here. I'm better than
And
McTominay.
that's
I'm
what
better
I
than
meant.
Fred. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what I meant. And it looks like it's creeping in. It really does, because last year he was probably our first name on. He'd be your first name on the team sheet last year for his performances and how well we needed him when he played. His just performances alone, he's not the first name on the team sheet this year. Just for performances. I'm not saying don't play him. Don't take that from what I'm saying. I'm just saying performance-wise, there's been quite a few games this year where he hasn't been the Calvin Phillips of last year. And the proof is in the pudding of where we are. Because he is so integral to how we play, and his performances last year rocketed us up the league because of how good he was. When a few games with Phillips not being a Phillips, look at where we're sitting.
Yeah, but I also don't forget stuff, and I remember doing match reviews straight after the games and saying Calvin is doing the work of 3 people here, so he's not going to be able to perform at optimum level, which again is down to the recruitment and Bielsa.
But for the last couple of weeks, he had Forshaw next to him.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well, because even Forshaw was brought back down to normal yesterday. I know people say that he was good, but he was nowhere near as good as he was against Leicester. No chance. And he even got dispossessed a few times, and Brighton hit us on the break from a few of his sloppy passes. And he got dispossessed in the middle of midfield where they attacked us too. And I just feel like there's some people that just get a little pass over other people, but everyone has their biases, of course. I've been accused of having biases many times. So,
and I think that just comes back and echoes what you said before, KG, even when you said about Firpo. We've mentioned all these players. Any one player could have got took off yesterday. Not one player could have got taken off yesterday and argued about the fact that they'd been taken off. Not one. And that's the problem.
Yeah, and I need to be completely authentic here because, I've said it on the group chat and I will obviously say it on here. And Niall, we will get into your comment later on, mate, because we're going to do a little bit of a section on Bielsa at the end. Of course we are. But I just wanted to flag your comment up there, mate. We will get to that right at the end. Don't worry. But thanks so much for your donation again. Long-term subscriber there. I didn't mean to flag that up, by the way. That was
wow.
But John, you're entitled to your opinion. We will get onto that later on. But in terms of Adam Forshaw, I mean, KJ, I mentioned it to you on the group chat. I went back and did a bit of digging after I mentioned it to you. And I would disagree on Adam Forshaw. And I mentioned that to you as well. I've got to be transparent. I thought Forshaw was good yesterday. I thought he was good. I thought when you look at Yves Bissouma in the midfield, who was getting applauded by the Brighton fans after the game about how his magnificent performance, when you stand that up against Adam Forshaw, Adam Forshaw performed better on every level, really. So, I think his performance definitely dipped, but that once again says everything about everybody else. And I said this on my review. Adam Forshaw cannot be the best player on the team sheet for the past 3 weeks. It's shocking for any other player to not be performing at his level. Adam Forshaw was excellent against Leicester. He was excellent for me against Tottenham as well, for the first half in particular. And yesterday, he wasn't excellent, but he was one of the better players. But what I'm trying to say is he's in the top 3 every single week since he's been back. The guy's been out for 2.5 years. And KG, I'm not saying that to you, by the way, at all. I'm not saying, you should think this way or whatever. Like that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying that in terms of the general Leeds playing side, that should not be the case. He shouldn't be performing like that, and we shouldn't be looking to Adam Forshaw. We've now got 2 games in a week. 2 games in a week. Are we looking to Adam Forshaw again to be playing 290s again to sustain us?
This is what I was saying, though, Connor. I wasn't saying that he was bad. I'm not saying he was.
No, I know.
But what I've seen where people have said that he was just so amazing. Well, listen, Cucurella and Trossard especially was having a run of the midfield. So how are you able to do that when we've got allegedly 2 midfielders there that should be able to track him? It's not always just about how much you run about. And this is something that I've gone on before. Somebody even quoted me yesterday and saying, no more runners, no more hard workers. Let's get some quality on the ball. And we just don't seem to have any of that right now.
I'd agree with Connor in the sense of when you look at the amount of money that was on that pitch, Rafinha, Rodrigo, James, Harrison, Levente, Firpo, how can Adam Forshaw be outperforming them for the last 3? Do you know what I mean? It's There's just, and I can't put my finger on it. And I know the comment flagged up by accident, and I'm completely nowhere near that, and I never will be, to be honest. I never will get to that point. But there's just something not right.
Yep.
I'll ask you guys just quickly. Just ask you guys if you're Pascal Struijk and you've played the way that you've played, and you're the one that gets tossed to the bench, how happy are you?
Can I just say with Pascal Struijk, I think that's a really valid point, and I've mentioned this to my dad as well today. I completely concur with that. And what I will say as well on top of that is, if any single if you've proven last season in a back two of you and your Spanish, Diego Llorente, who's been brought in the summer, who's been excellent. You've got a back two there who, in the last 10 games of the season, when Leeds have won 7 out of the last 10, and they've been absolutely fantastic at the back. We've played Chelsea, we've played Man United, we've played Tottenham Hotspur, we've played City away. Those two have been the constants. If not only are you annoyed if you're Pascal Struijk, but you've proven it. You've done it. You've done it in a back two. You've proven that when you're there, you've been excellent. And then you're being moved around consistently. You're becoming the new Stuart Dallas. Yeah. You're doing excellent jobs in these other positions, but then you dropped again. And this is where I sort of lose it. I don't know. I don't get it. And it's very difficult for me to understand that side of it. I completely agree with you, KG. Yeah.
And it's comes down to, we've all been in changing rooms at people watching us play football at any level. You always hear, play well, you keep your shirt. That's drilled it. Play well and you keep your shirt. That's how football should be, and it doesn't feel like it is that way.
Is this mad because we got? Is this mad because we got a point?
Well, I said to you guys, didn't I, on the way back? I kept hearing we got a clean sheet. Come on, I know it was a clean sheet, but by the grace of God, do you know what I mean? They hit the bar 3 or 4 times. You missed an empty net.
I've got to put Brownie. I've got to play devil's advocate on here, because if I come over and go one way, then everybody thinks I'm biased and all this. I've got to try to provide balance.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm just saying for anybody, like people going with the play, Levente, Firpo played, but we got a clean sheet, because that's what I kept seeing on Twitter. We kept a clean sheet. We did, but I don't know how. It wasn't through good defending that we kept a clean sheet.
Yeah. KG, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
No, I totally agree with Brownie. It literally was the inept finishing by Brighton why it was still 0-0. It was due to nothing else. And then even when people thought that we could snatch at the end with Tyler Roberts' chance, they still had the last chance at the end with Solly March when it hit Melier. Yeah. When it hit the post and hit Melier, could have bounced in, but it didn't. So we even got a rub of the green yesterday, especially with the hitting the post, and good save from Melier that hit the post after. We were lucky. We were very lucky.
KG, why was do we think that when Dallas went left back, we saw an improvement on that side?
Yeah, but also I think Lamptey was coming to the end. I think he got taken off after like 75 minutes, so he was coming to the end. He's still playing himself back into full fitness himself, and yeah, I mean, of course, it's going to be better with Dallas on there. It just goes to that point again, though, that we're back with Dallas at left back and a right footer on the left, without that natural left footer there. It's just back to that same thing again as last year.
Yeah, but then again, we talk about Pascal and how must he be feeling? And I understand he's a youngster, but Stuart Dallas as well. Like, if he's going in, week out, not knowing if he's central, midfield, left back, or right mid. It must be completely confusing, Stuart. And I understand he's a seasoned pro, and he's probably just happy to be in the Premier League, which I completely understand. But it must be confusing for him.
Yeah, but of all the ones that people mention in regards to that class, the Cooper, Dallas, Ayling class, Dallas is the one that I see still being here, whether it be on the bench next season and being an effective player. So I'm happy with Dallas. Yeah.
So and I want to touch on that as a positive. I want to talk about Stuart Dallas, because we do this on the debrief once again, and it seems to be the same thing I'm saying after that interview. Once again, I'd say up there with Melié's distribution, I thought let him down. In terms of shot saved, he makes some magnificent saves, especially from Trossard. But overall, once again, from the Leeds side, I'd have probably given the man of the match to Dallas, which just shows his improvement.
See, I'm going with, I think I've got Struijk blindness here, but I think I would have given it to Struijk for his second half performance because...
Oh, just for 45? I didn't know you could get man of the match for 45 minutes. I didn't know that was a thing.
Robert's got it. Robert's got it for 28.
Yeah, exactly. Browdy's correct. Browdy's correct there. You got it there, Connor.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but listen, Struijk came in and was defending well. Maybe up until like the last couple of minutes when it was all getting a little bit chaotic. But he even put in a through ball to Tyler Roberts with his right peg, man. Like the guy is just class. The guy is super class, and it's like, how are you getting dropped to the bench, Pascal? I don't understand it. And and you know what? I just want to say as well. Sorry, quickly before I forget, because Bielsa came out. It was said that after that, Struijk wasn't 100% fit. I don't believe that for one bit. By the way, I think that was club comms telling Bielsa to say Pascal couldn't make it, because I guarantee maybe Struijk starts against Palace. And so
well, that's what I'm about to touch on.
Okay.
Does the 2 games in 3 days, 3-4 days, play into that team selection? Would he rather have had Struijk for the Palace game, knowing what wingers they have?
Well, I would say that if you were going to rest anybody, it would be Llorente, right? You wouldn't want him playing 2 games in so many days with his history.
And then again, we go back to the whole, when does Firpo play?
Yeah,
we've signed a left back that can.
Well, let me ask you this question, Brownie. I know you were, and everybody in the chat, you bang on. Listen, I don't want it to be I want this to be non-abusive. I just want this to be about football. I just want this to be, and this is where I want it to be. Some people in the chat and some people over Twitter seem to cross-wire it. If you criticize a performance, you're abusing that individual. That's so far from the case. That is not the case. They're 2 separate entities. So we're talking about the football here and what's going to be beneficial for Leeds United. So if
sorry, Connor, as well. Just like that comment they're saying about now we're calling Bielsa a liar. There's a difference between the club protecting the players and just trying to not cause any off the field headlines, because Twitter was a mess with Pascal Struijk support. They're not blind to it. These people read the things. They don't just go around blindly about their day. They read stuff online, and if they could see that Struijk was getting a lot of love and can't believe he's being left out, is it impossible that somebody said to him, listen, you may have to just say Pascal wasn't fully fit today?
Yeah, of
course. It's not impossible.
You're spot on. I completely agree with you. And I think you could even see when Pascal came on and how fluid he was and the impact he made on the game. There was no sluggishness there for me. No. He got into the game. He was one of the better players in the second half. So if he was carrying something, you just wouldn't risk him when you've got such vital games coming up. But what I was leading on to there was, if I was to say to you, Brownie, Junior Firpo is starting up against, Wilf Zaha, let's say, you'd be worried, wouldn't you? Because you've looked at the 2 performances and you've seen Ademola Lookman, you've seen Lucas Moura up against Pascal Struijk. I don't want Pascal Struijk at left back.
That's what I was meaning.
I don't want him at left back. But let's say I think Zaha plays on the left anyway. But if you're a quick winger, let's say up against Pascal Struijk, which up against a left back of our tendencies, whatever, you would want it to be Pascal Struijk at the minute, wouldn't you?
And that's what I was meaning. Does the element of playing Saturday, Tuesday come into a manager's team selection? I mean, you should always want to win the game that's in front of you. But Firpo's just coming back. He's not going to get through 2 90s in Saturday, Tuesday. And I don't know. Yeah, you probably would want Struijk. But again, we've had this debate for the last few weeks about this left-back situation, and it doesn't seem to be going away.
Can I just say before we go as well, we've got 710 of you in on the debrief. We've always said it was growing. We had peak numbers of 540 last week. We've got 710 now. Thank you so much, guys. Check out KG's channel. Brownie, we're going to make you a channel, mate. We're going to do that before the end of the year. Yes, we are. We're going to make you a channel. But honestly, get over to Brownie's Twitter. Follow him on there. And thank you so much, everybody. We really do appreciate it. This will be audio based. We will have an audio a podcast as well on Spotify, iTunes, whatever. After this, we're starting this today. So thank you so much for your donations. Ted Garron again, Connor and KG. The addition of a proper player in Brownie makes this spectacular. Look at his head growing. Roy Keane makes huge money. Brownie, better commentator. There you go. Well, that's the dynamic.
Just going to put the burner phone down.
but let's touch on. I mean, we've spoken about the second half. What we haven't touched on yet is, and I think this is really important, lads, because we have critiqued him, and rightly so. But we have to mention Tyler Roberts in this game. I thought when he came on yesterday, it's backed up by statistics as well. I've done a little bit of number crunching on this one. Tyler Roberts had 3 shots. Leeds had 4 shots in the game. The other from Stuart Dallas. Tyler could have. Yeah, Tyler, I think he had 2 on target out of the 4. But he could have won the game. He didn't win the game. But just in terms of impact, I think, no, don't get me wrong. I don't think Tyler Roberts is good enough. I don't. I think we've all established that. But what I will say is yesterday, I think we've got to give a little bit of credit, lads. We've got to be a little bit balanced. I think we have to say that Tyler Roberts definitely did make a positive impact yesterday. I think Gelhardt should have come on. I do. But I think Tyler Roberts coming on in general made a positive impact to where Leeds were at that moment in time.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Everybody would have wanted Gelhardt to come on. I don't even think the hardest of Tyler Roberts fans would disagree with that. I think he did improve us. I thought he was lively. I thought he put himself about. I thought he gave us some energy. He did improve us. Like Cage says, does that show how lackluster we actually were in that final third for the first hour? Probably. But you mentioned the word could have scored in that segment, Connor, and this is the issue that will always hang around with Tyler Roberts. He has 1 goal in his last 54 appearances for Leeds. Since Hull City away, he's got 1 in 54. I keep hearing, he could have scored. He nearly scored. He has to start doing it. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. That is it in a nutshell. He has to start putting some of these chances in the net. And I've seen, but it was on his left foot. He had a direct shot from less than 10 yards with nobody in front of him. And if we've been right, I was at the game and I mentioned to you two, what was it like? What was the chance? Because it was at the other end from us. It was hard to tell. Watching it back, he hasn't hit it cleanly.
It's a big chance. It was a big chance.
Yeah. And that wins us the game. You 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go, and could
there be an argument there though that any of our other players are not taking that position up?
Well, I mean, we won the ball from the high press. It came from their goal kick. We won it really high. Yeah. Someone slipped it through. I think it might have been Forshaw who played it.
Forshaw, yeah, it was a neat pass. Actually. It was nice,
But this is what I mean, and I was a bit gutted for him really because he did do really well. And I know you'd be all shocked that I'm saying I'm gutted for Tyler Roberts. I genuinely was because he did do well. He improved us when we came on. And I tell you what, after 15 hours of being out of the house, someone giving a bit of energy, I'm all for it. Because nobody else was doing that in that front 4-5. He was putting himself about, but he could have won us the game. And that always seems to come back. I
think Brownie. Yeah, I think you bang on. I think it's the moments thing, isn't it, KG? It's the game changer. It's when you look at if Tyler Roberts can come on and do that, which was a big influence, we have to say. There was no end product. There was a big influence in terms of at least getting Leeds up the pitch and looking threatening towards the end of the game. Imagine what Joe Gelhardt could have done.
Yeah, absolutely. You give Joe Gelhardt those chances. I'll back him 10 times out of 10 to at least get a better shot on target than Tyler Roberts. We shouldn't be counting Tyler Roberts' scuff shot as something as a major positive. I think if we're doing that, then we're just lowering our standards to the floor. And I refuse to do that. So I'm not going to be bigging up Tyler Roberts for missing 2 chances. It's not happening, but it's an indication of just where we are right now.
On that, Gelhardt should have come on as well. And this was the thing that baffled me because we did have players coming back that weren't in the squad last week. Rafinha, Rodrigo, Llorente, he's only played a few games. Do you know what I mean? We've had injuries throughout. And we'd made 3 subs by the hour. And I thought it was such a huge risk. And again, it's another question hanging up. Listen, I will never, ever be Bielsa out. Never will be. Nothing will happen that will make me Bielsa out. I don't want to put that categorically clear out there now. From where we were to where we are now, I don't understand how anybody can be, because we were a mess. We were bottom half championship. So I want to put that out there clearly. However, I just, there's so many things that I'm just so confused with, and that seems to be the consensus of a lot of people. And that's another one, the subs. 3 subs by an hour. I just don't think it was necessary to make them 2 subs. And then after 70, 75 minutes, you've got Rodrigo looking knackered. Rafinha not looking like he's not tracking back. Cooper was stretching his calf out from, he was cramping up. And you're thinking, well, I hope nobody gets injured or goes down, because we've got no more subs. And
Brownie,
like
Brownie, can I put a question to you? Is he, we know he's methodical. Is Marcelo Bielsa resting Joe Gelhardt to start on Tuesday against Crystal Palace?
I don't think you can be in our position and be resting players for the next game. I think you've just got to win what's in front of you. And Brighton hadn't won in 8. It was a huge opportunity to go and carry on. I mean, resting Gel, he's 19. Is he 19? You don't need resting it now. Come on. He's just made his first Premier League start. He'll be chomping at the bit to play again. I'm 32. I'd like to think I could play Saturday, Tuesday. And do you know what I mean? Geldart at 19. No, I can't see it being a resting issue, to be honest. I just generally think he will always play James, Harrison, Rodrigo, if available. Rafinha, obviously, as well. He's obviously a first name on the team sheet. I just think they will always somehow play. I mean, we looked that deep. We had Forshaw and Phillips so deep. Rodrigo was in no man's land. He was kind of on his own. Was it a game for Click? Could he have linked it better? I don't know. It just seemed like we had all our defence. Again, it was like, we've said this before, and which is a concern. It was like an American football. We had a defence and and there was just no link to them. It was like, right, we're going to defend here. You 4 just run around at the top and we'll try and get something. It just didn't seem like there was any cohesion between it all.
I mean, and again, I'm not saying I'm Bielsa out, but we have to admit all of these problems are linked from Bielsa's tactics here and his decisions. So that has to be said. I don't think you can sugarcoat that. Is that agreed? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I am not. I mean, I will make my stance clear, and we'll get on to this Bielsa stuff. I'm not Bielsa out. I think that's a fickle mindset. If I'm honest with you, there's a lot of people who disagree. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of dislikes for that, but you know, this is our first adversity for me. This is where it is an issue right now. What's going on? But there are.
I don't know how you can be a Bielsa out. I mean, how many managers have come to Leeds in the last 16 years and it just hasn't worked? And he's made players England internationals.
Brownie, can I put a point to that as well? With the cohort of players right now, the standard of player that we have now, not only has Bielsa got them to that level. If you're genuinely thinking a manager is going to come in with the standard of player that we have right now, the starting 11, and is going to be able to get them to a new level to what Bielsa is, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen.
Like we mentioned Shackleton, and I'm not sure any other Premier League team comes in and buys Jamie Shackleton.
But that's a big thing for Bielsa as well, surely, because there are so many arguments for so many Leeds players for that. It's that he wouldn't get in here, he wouldn't get in here, he wouldn't get in here. That's Marcelo Bielsa.
That's a problem. There's I'm not just saying Jamie Shackleton in that. There's a few players in that Leeds team that other Premier League teams wouldn't play, wouldn't even come and buy. I don't think we'd go and buy a Jamie Shackleton.
Come on, man. Come on. No, I can't.
Oh,
no. If you are audio based, we appreciate the opinion, my friend. But non-stop sport audio based has said Scott Parker with the Jan window. Yes, no, No.
No, but just finishing off the point I was trying to make there was, if it ever comes to it in January and say Bielsa, it comes out, Phil Hayes giving you a report, an exclusive, saying that the January window is shut, and we had the chance to sign a couple of good players that would have improved, but Bielsa didn't see them as upgrades over some of those players in certain positions. What does he look like to you then?
Yeah, that definitely would irk me, because it's almost like a self-destruct button, because
It's stubbornness.
and it's a project for him. I completely get it. I completely get it that it's the project, but it harks back to what we were speaking about before, KG, of him evaluating his players at a higher level than what the fans evaluate those players at. And not only that, but the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the league table. So for me, if we don't make amendments in January, and you'll get no other person saying this, no other YouTube channel apart from Cage's, obviously, and all this sort of stuff, but we're in deep trouble, because how I look at it is the next 2 games are vital. The next 2 games are absolutely vital. You look at minimum 4 points, really, because December is a murderer's row. So when you get into January, it's feasible. It's feasible. We've got to be realistic here that Leeds are in the bottom 3. It's very, very feasible. So we get into January. We could have been in it today. Thank God for the snow. So we could have been in it today. So for me, when you're looking at Leeds United in January, KG, and we've got Manchester City away, Liverpool away, Chelsea away, Arsenal at home. Merry Christmas, Leeds fans. But when you've got those 4, and you're going into January with a depleted squad, because we know it's a carousel of players. There'll be players coming back in. Bamford might come in, but then you're going to get maybe a Stuart Dallas. It happens since 2018. The board have to step forward. Bielsa has to understand that if this isn't alleviated, if he doesn't make movements for me in January and maybe degrade his expectations of his current players right now, Leeds are in serious trouble.
See, I still think this group of players stays up. And I still do. I'm still not worried.
Really? You're not worried?
Generally, I'm still not worried.
Okay, fair.
But what does worry me is we play arguably 3 of the best teams in the world all the way from home in the next 15 days after we get these 2 games out of the way. That's a bit of a worry. Would
it worry you if we did no business in January?
No, I still think this group of players gets us safety, but is that enough? And I'm not sure it is. Just being safe. Obviously, we're in a battle. Of course, we're in a battle. We're looking at other teams. We're looking at Watford's results. We're looking at Norwich's results. We're looking out for Newcastle results. Of course, we're in a battle. It's 3 of the bottom 7, possibly. We're in that 7. I still think we stay up. I'm still not worried. If we were to do a debrief after Palace Brentford, and we'd not beaten either one of them, I think that'd be the first time I'd start to worry.
Can I just ask you this question? And I'll ask you both this. I'll come to KG first. With regards to Leeds being pragmatic, we saw that a lot last year. You know, those last 10 games when we came up against opposition who were very, very good caliber. Leeds were excellent in terms of very, very defensive, and we played on the counter-attack. Leeds United haven't scored a single goal from a counter-attacking break this season, which for me says a lot. Wow. So in terms of pragmatism, is it going to be the same thing going up against this lot in December of Leeds just going gung-ho, man for man? And if that is the case, why are Burnley able to adapt? Why are Watford able to adapt? I'm not saying they do it to great success, but they're able to adapt. Do you think it's key, KG, in this period that Leeds adapts and adopts a plan B and not just look at plan A, but better?
The thing is, I think that topic is just no point talking about, because we know what we're going to get from Bielsa. It's going to be man for man. If we're in this position now and we haven't seen a change at where we are now, I don't see him changing it in December. I just don't. It's more about hunting back in packs again. Just go back in packs. Not only hunting in packs, but attacking in packs again. Let's do that again. That's what was working for us. You know, that was our game, hunting in packs and making opposition go, wow, where's all these players come from? We don't know where to go. Now we're just so easy to telegraph. People are picking off our passes at will. It's just basics. We're not even getting the basics right now.
But so I would also argue 21 points out of 30 with our last 10 games, with the style of opponents we were coming up against, you could argue, some people may argue that did keep us in the division last year. That's a large amount of points to keep us in the division.
A lot. The man manager, the game management was better though. Kind of, we were starting to adapt what other Premier League teams were doing, like falling over the ball and getting cheap free kicks to alleviate pressure, not take the throw in straight away as if the ball's going to burn your hands or anything else like that. We was adapting to it in the second half of the season.
And I think we did see a change from, i.e., like the Leicester at home to Leicester away, the Chelsea away to Chelsea at home.
What was that then? What was that? Was that just us being paranoid as fans? Was that a thing? Were we being more pragmatic there, or was that just the players taking it upon themselves? Because there was a difference.
Yeah, even the Man United away to Man United at home, it was 0-0. It was a completely different game and vibe, but the gung-ho thing, and like Cage said, and I mentioned it earlier on, the hunting back in packs to win the ball back, we don't see it anymore. And getting numbers forward, it just doesn't happen. So there has been a change. I've said this a few weeks ago. We seem to be so much more deeper in our play. We're not as high up. Is that a Bamford thing? I don't know. Are we too reliant?
Should we move on to the main man? So there's a lot of people that have referenced it in the chat as well in terms of Paddy B only scoring 1 goal in 6. What I will say, in those 6, he was also involved in 4 goals. He got 3 assists. The one that I wanted to touch on really as well was the Crew game. I'll hark you all back to the Crew game where he came on, and listen, I understand the opposition. Of course I do. But there was a complete standard change from just everybody on the pitch. And it was a very strong Leeds United sort of 10 at that point. Do we realistically think, I mean, if we average those goals out, one in 6, so I think he's going to play another 22 games. I think he's going to come back in for the City game, which is in 3 games' time. If he has 22 games, if he's averaging 1 goal in 6, he's sort of getting maybe 5 or 6 goals during that period. Is that enough, KG, or is it everything else that Patrick Bamford brings to the party?
Yeah, I mean, I can't look at it like that in terms of 1 goal in 6. I think that's just, I just don't think you can estimate that. I just think that he'll be hungry to get back to where he was. He knows that his spot in England team is kind of on the ropes right now. Ollie Watkins is probably ahead of him. And we know what he's like. He's got those personal aspirations to get to the World Cup as well. So I think he'll be doing everything he can to get back and scoring again. And it's like you say, I think people forget, I know he only got 1 goal, but he was involved in a lot of our good stuff, building up to goals, giving us an actual threat in the box as well, which we haven't really had apart from when Geldhart plays. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's also a big thing for Bamford now. He's going to have a lot of expectation when he comes back.
Yeah.
And I think he should thrive off it. I think he should be happy right now with the way that the fans are missing him. I think he should take that and say, you know what, I want to repay all these guys that have missed me and want me back. And let's see how we get on.
Sorry, KG. Just going back to, you mentioned that about the Crew game. That had Rodrigo. That had Harrison. That had Roberts. And we couldn't break them down. It took us 80 minutes. And we needed Bamford to come on. Just a bit of a caveat and a worry.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Mora has said Firpo is worse than De Bock.
I saw a funny tweet. It said, Stephen Craney holds the worst ever left back for Leeds United title. I think we could see a change of the guard this season.
Good God, that would be. I don't think we've seen enough of Firpo yet, to be honest. I mean, Loris De Bock, but to be fair, Loris De Bock was in the Belgium squad, so I will say that as well. But no, listen, we've not seen enough of Firpo, but I think the performances do need to improve. KG, you know, when fans are saying, well, we played well, well, we're 4 points off so-and-so, well, this, that, when does that become a little bit long in the tooth? When are we going to start sitting back and thinking to ourselves, okay, well, this is the situation we're in right now?
Listen, people get through things differently, don't they? You know, if you're looking up and saying that we're only this many points away from mid-table, that's fair enough. I think, and I'm only going from the temperature I got from my post-match review, where a lot of people just had so many questions and We're questioning certain things that are going on at the club. What's going on behind the scenes with this player, that player? Is this player happy? We never had these kind of questions. We haven't had these kind of questions in years. You know, we're talking a few years now where people are worrying about the team spirit, the harmony, and everything else like that. But if they want to say that we're so many points off from the top, I mean, you can do that. But again, we're 13 games in, and we've won 2, and 1 is against Norwich, 1 is against Watford. For me, that's more telling than being 4 points away from whichever team you want to name. And also as well, Norwich again picking up another point. Brentford winning today, another team that goes on to that 16 points. It's just kind of cutting us adrift of all those teams there. So that's why these next 2 games are really, really vital.
Yeah, and then that's why I said to Connor, I would only start to worry if we don't pick up a win last debrief we said we wanted 7 points. We're still on for that. I still think we need 2 wins from these next 2 games. I am one of the people who is looking up rather than down. I'm still currently doing that. We win on Tuesday night. We're level on points with Everton. And do you know what I mean? That's where we're at. And I was going to say this earlier about our poor performances and stuff. I think there's been a lot of poor games in the Premier League in general. As a whole, I was watching that Newcastle game on the way down. God, they didn't offer anything against Arsenal. And I know we're in this Leeds bubble, but the other teams are in similar positions around us points-wise for a reason. They can't be pulling up many trees themselves. So I think it's easy to look at our poor performances, but I think there's a lot of teams that are stinking the place out as well, to be honest, us included.
Well, and also what I would add as well in that is that a couple of these teams have also got new managers who would have been promised that they could get a couple of new players in January. And we've already seen the effect that Steven Gerrard's had on Villa. So they've got 2 wins lately. Norwich will certainly be doing whatever they can to help Dean Smith, I believe, because they're picking up points.
7 points out of 9, Norwich.
Yeah, and obviously Newcastle will be picking out of a decent basket of where they can probably get a couple of good players that could get them wins here and there. But I mean, Newcastle aside, there's going to be teams around us that will be changing a bit of the makeup of their squads, and that's for me where we have to do that. Also, we definitely have to do that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Crystal Palace next. Yeah, Palace next. And we've been going on for an hour and 15. There is 730 of you in the building. I think we've had 770, which is the most the podcast, the show, whatever you want to call it now, has ever had. So if you wouldn't mind liking the video, commenting as well, keep getting your comments in afterwards if you are watching this on the playback. And of course, if you are listening to it audio wise on Spotify and iTunes, hello. We'll be continuing this for the foreseeable future. Okay, Crystal Palace. Next up, lost to Villa yesterday, actually, at the weekend. So 2-1. Obviously, there's a quick turnaround now. Leeds United play on a Tuesday, and then we play at the weekend against Brentford. 2 massive games. As Brownie alluded to, the points need to be picked up before this the murderer's row. Okay, Crystal Palace, what have we seen this season? KG, 2 losses to Manchester United, I believe, and Chelsea. That's it. And Vieira was either going to go one way or the other, and it seems to be very, very positive for Crystal Palace fans at the minute.
Yeah, listen, I didn't like Crystal Palace in the last few years. I've been one of those vocal people that they were one of those teams that were just happy to be in the Prem, which is why they had Roy Hodgson playing like 6 DMs at once and just stinking out the place and hoping everything that will go through Zaha. But they're different this year. They play on the front foot now, and they've got a lot of good players in there now. They've replaced a lot of the dross that they had, and they've got some good players there. Their centre-back pairing of Gay and Anderson is really good. Their keeper's decent. Tyreek Mitchell, good player. Ezzy's coming back now. Michael Elise's there. Even Benteke's had a little new lease of life up there. Edouard's good. They got this blonde midfielder on loan from Chelsea. I can't think of his name, but he's been tremendous for them. And obviously they've got Zaha as well. And they're one of those teams right now where they're just trying to work out exactly how they can get it right, because they've had a lot of performances where they should have won the game, but they've ended up either drawing or losing them, which is what happens when you're transitioning from where they were before to now. So I do like what Palace have done. I really do think that they're a good side. But listen, if they play, let's just say if they play like Brighton did in terms of attacking us through Zaha and Elise and all these players, Conor Gallagher too, they will probably finish off the chances much better than Brighton did. Absolutely. I've got no doubt about that either. So it's up to us again at home. I trust our home crowd a lot to push us as well. Just to make sure that we're on the front foot first. Let's attack these guys first and let them adapt to our style of play instead of us adapting to theirs.
It was interesting and I mean, everybody's of the same opinion about Palace, how Vieira's done really well and they're much better this season and they've got all these players like KG mentioned. We've won 2, they've won 3. Yet there's such polar opposite opinion of how doom and gloom it is for Leeds, but how positive it is for Palace, is why I was mentioning then about the performances in the Premier League as a whole, and we're in this Leeds bubble. They've won 1 more game than us.
No, that's not it for me, because I've watched Palace a lot. I don't know if you guys have, but their style of play, you know what their style of play is. Vieira's getting them to play a certain way. Yeah, and right now they're still adjusting to it, still adapting, and it looks good. It looks good as well, and they're getting good performances.
But out of 13 games, they've won 1 more game than Leeds. Yet we're in this doom and gloom relegation battle, and Palace have, like you said, Connor, Palace have performing well, and they were a pleasure to watch. They've won 1 more game, so this is why.
But I guess you could spin that and say they've lost 2 games and we've lost 5.
No, they've lost 3. We've lost 5.
Well,
okay. That's what I mean.
That's why they lost to Villa. Yeah, true. They lost to Villa on top of those 2. But yeah.
So we beat. This is why it's such a big game, and KG is right. If the Tuesday night, and this is why I said this next week period is huge for Leeds, because if we do beat Palace, we are where they are. Yet we've had this horrendous start. They've had this promising start. Yet we'll be at the same point in the table.
I guess it's one of those things though, where and this is what we're saying at the start of the pod, and I think that's why people talk about where teams are, and there is a little bit of a gulf between the two sides at the minute, even if they've won 3 and we've won 2. I mean, I know one of those games that they've won against Manchester City. Our 2 games that we've won are against newly promoted teams, so I think sort of context has to be applied to that. But not only that, but you look at the Crystal Palace front line. Zaha's been firing. Benteke has been firing. Edouard has got 3 goals. Gallagher's on fire.
Completely agree.
But what I'm trying to say is, I think in terms of going forward and in terms of what they've seen so far this season, Crystal Palace fans are going to turn around and say, well, yeah, we're going to win this game. We're going to win that game based on the performances so far. Whereas Leeds fans are looking at this game and thinking, we're just so out of form, it's going to be so difficult for us to turn it over.
Yeah, that's what I completely agree with you and KG about. They are a good team to watch, and they have got Gallagher performing well, and Zaha and Edouard. And this is why I'm still of this positivity I know you don't share. We haven't been like that. We've been nowhere near that, yet we are still within 1 win of them. So if we do put things together with a Bamford back in, there's no reason why we're in a relegation fight come January, February. Do you know what I mean? That's where I am at, because these teams are performing well. Look at the table now. Villa, they've had 2 wins on the bounce. Brentford won, and Palace, that's that little clique of teams that everybody's saying are doing well. Yet we win on Tuesday night. We're in that clique of teams.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree that. I mean,
on the flip side, if we lose, like KG says, teams are then opening that gap up more and more. It's huge. Tuesday, Saturday, and that's like Tuesday, Sunday, because we play Sunday. The next 2 are huge. Yeah,
they are. They're absolutely massive. I mean, Brighton's included in that, and we've got a point. We've not lost the game, which I guess is positive. KG, we never go to you first, mate. We're on predictions. Brownie's still top of the league because none of us got even the team right last week. We all went for a Leeds win. KG, my friend, Leeds United take on Crystal Palace at Ellen Road Tuesday night. What is your think about it, mate? We've got to start taking. There's going to be a prize, by the way, at the end.
The one Leeds hoodie.
Yeah. I'm going to be figuring out at some point this season, but there is going to be a price. We've got to start thinking really about these next couple of games. So back of the net's gone 2-1 Leeds. Right wing, left wing has gone 4-0 Palace. Tom Gatlin's gone 2-1 Palace. John Knox has gone 1-0 Leeds. So it seems to be a bit of a split in the comment section. KG, what are you thinking, mate?
Right. Can Brownie go first, please?
Okay, we'll stick to normal. We'll stick to normality where Big DB goes first. Go on then, Brownie. What are you thinking, mate?
1-1.
And just a question on that: Would you be happy with that? I still don't think.
Not really. I said coming out of Brighton.
No.
It's a good point if we win on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But Palace got beat at the weekend. They'll want to bounce back a little bit. I just think Brighton, Brentford, Palace were so big games. I'd be happy to come out of all three, not getting beat in any of them, but we need to win one of them. And I think we stand more chance in the Brentford one to beat them.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go second. Are we doing this thing now where it's like head and heart, or are we doing this thing where it's just like we've been cold? Are we doing the cold stuff where it's like, to be fair, Brownie predicted 2-0 Spurs. I don't know if KG's gone the opposites yet, but we're listen, if we go opposites and we're wrong, brilliant. But I think we've got it. We can't always predict. If we think it, we can't always predict to Leeds win. Yeah. I am good. Go on.
I'm annoyed because I went with the Leeds win at Brighton and I knew we wouldn't win there. So I'm annoyed, but
yeah, we've got to think with our heads, haven't we? We've got to think with our heads. I know. Sorry, guys, if you want a heart opinion, come to me on Twitter, and I'm sure I'll give you a different opinion. But I'm gonna go, and this is hard for me to say. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Palace win.
Oh,
fair. It's fair.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You're all gonna be. I'm gonna get hammered for that. I'm gonna get hammered. But that is the first time on air I've predicted against us for a long time, and I think we'll beat Brentford. That's what I will say as a big C.
Oh, on my channel, I've predicted against us before. It doesn't mean that you want your team to lose. You want your team to prove you wrong. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Just to blindly say that you think you're going to win a game if you don't believe you're going to win it's fake. It's fake. So nobody here. Yeah,
and there you go, hammered.
I do that. Mohammed, he's hilarious. Whoever that guy is, man, he's funny, man. But for me, the score that's standing out in my head, unfortunately, is 3-1 Palace.
Oh my god!
I don't know why, KG, when you said it then, because I don't know why, but for me, I thought I was way going to be the most negative there. But when you went 3-1, I was like, oh, that hurt.
Hey, listen, it's a 2-goal difference, but at least we score in my one.
That's true. Yeah, but we concede more in yours as well. So
if you two are right, though, I think there'll be a big shift in this Bielsa conversation with a lot of people.
In all fairness, Brownie, I mean, and you, as you say, and I don't think any of us are Bielsa out. We just want him to just adjust his ideas and not be so loyal to certain players. I've seen it on my channel. There's a lot of people that would never have said any of the stuff they've said before. And this is why we've kind of spoken the way we have today, because we're just taking a temperature of the people that have been talking to us. Well, that's what I've been doing anyway. I'm just echoing a lot of what my subscribers have been saying.
Well, we're in for a treat Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, I hope we don't win. I hope we don't lose 3-1. I mean, but just, where are we going? Where are we going in terms of going forward? Where is the confidence to say we're going to beat Crystal Palace? Yeah. And also, where's the confidence to say we're going to keep them out if we keep playing like we have? So it's on the players now. They're in the position they're in. It's on the players to prove us wrong. That's my opinion.
And I maybe came across wrong, or I don't word things right. I just say what's in my head, and sometimes it don't come out right. This is what I meant with the positivity around Palace and the doom and gloom around Leeds. They've only won one more game than us. Like you say, where is this win going to come from? They've only won 3 out of 13, if you want to word it that way. So are they coming to Ellen Road full of vibe? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Palace predictions would be.
I think they'll definitely become fair. And Brownie, you know more than anyone players talk. Conor Gallagher is going to be up for this game.
Oh yeah.
And also, and it's not going to help because our crowd is going to be on him too. You know, so he's going to get even more like adrenaline from that kind of
You're
rush.
too something to play for Leeds.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
too
yeah.
something to play
Well, I
for
remember
Leeds.
the Liverpool game. The Liverpool game. I was
Trent.
in the cup, and they were singing to Trent, "You're just Kyle Walker."
Mhm.
Within about 4 minutes, he whipped the ball across to Salah to tap in, and he was stood there at the end of the
That's not the play you do it to. You don't do it to Trent. Not to Trent. Yeah. So I mean, listen. We all David Brown, the most positive one there. But I think we're all in it. But yeah, we're all in agreement that Leeds need a win. It's not about drawing, and it's a home fixture under the lights at Ellen Road. I'm sure there's going to be a packed Ellen Road there. But guys, listen, we've been going for an hour and 30, the longest and the most viewed podcast we have ever had. If you have just joined and you're thinking to yourself, "What's going on? I've just joined. I want to be watching it again." Go back. You can watch it, or if you're busy, this will be uploaded onto Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Make sure you download it because we don't get any of the statistics back if you just listen to it. We need you to download it. And if you do that, we'll be able to see the numbers. And if it works, we'll do it again. But we are going to be back on Wednesday at 8 p.m. with the debrief to go over a Crystal Palace game. Crystal Palace game. I'm not going to say win, loss, or draw or whatever. But yeah, we'll leave it there, guys. KG, Brownie, thank you so much once again, fellas, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. The debrief, the 7th of its kind, will be back for the 8th on Wednesday. Guys, thanks so much for joining and sticking with us, and we will see you in a bit. Cheers.